tells you how many hours that you've saved just from it cutting blank spaces from podcasts. So here's the thing about podcasts. Podcasts obviously are a great way to learn, great way to consume content. I also think they're helpful for building camaraderie because they're popular. And so, like I just said, I had an interview with someone and we had a 30-minute conversation about this kind of stuff. Great way to network with that person, get to know them on an individual level, and kind of break down some barriers that are there when we're just there for an interview, you know? It's great to get to know someone. It's also a good way to keep learning in your particular space. If you've noticed, I have a lot of marketing or education podcasts that I subscribe to, so I keep up to date on what's going on and how to better improve my craft going forward. And of course, if you ever want to start a podcast, it's always good to be listening to other podcasts so you can tell what kind of style you like and who you want to imitate and who you definitely do not want to imitate at all. And you can tell the differences between what's a good podcast, good quality podcast, what's good content in a podcast, that kind of thing. And like I said, it's a great way to earn a master's degree without paying anything for it. I mean, the podcasts are free. Why would you not use tools to be listening to these kind of things? Like I said, I have a bunch of podcast recommendations if anyone cares. I have those too. And I will gladly give them to you because I absolutely love all the ones that I would recommend. But that's all for the tools that I had to recommend. Did anyone have any questions on any of those? Amazing! Thank you. So, hold on. I just want to quickly talk about this really fast. So obviously we just talked about a ton of stuff, and I know I threw a water hose at your face, and some of you hated me for it. I don't care. Here's the thing. Tools can be helpful or they can be hurtful depending on how you use them, right?
Right.
There's a ton of tools here, and believe it or not, I use all of them. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but actually this is a very curated list of the tools that I use. There are more that I use on a normal basis. I've learned to use them in a system that works for me. If you realize that these tools have the potential to distract you from productive work, that they are going to be too overwhelming, that you're never going to use them, don't use them. It is okay to choose different things that work best for you as a learner and as a professional. Quality over quantity, right? That's basically the theme of a lot of things. Quality over quantity. Make sure that what you're using is working for you. And then finally, when you're looking for tools like these, search with the purpose. So what happens is learning these kind of and mastering these kind of tools will set you on a wild goose chase for a lot of different things. Like last night, I spent maybe another 10 minutes, I didn't need to, on Todoist, looking at the different integrations they have and finding out all about the different tools that they integrate with and learning about all those tools, and now I want to use all of them, and they all do the same things, but they all look different, so I want to try them all. Yes. I'm probably going to do that because it's me. I'm doing it to save you time. Don't do that unless you have a lot of time to do that, or if you're really, really nerdy like me. Normally, I would just say, search for a purpose and pick the thing that works. And then just stay there. Don't switch things up unless you realize that the thing that works is not working anymore. And then you can switch, obviously. My whole point is that don't get bogged down with all of these different tools. And keep track of the things. I have an actual library of all of these different kinds of tools. So I keep track of all the ones that I find, even if I'm not using them right now. I just keep them on file in case someone else needs them, or in case I realize that I need something different than what I'm normally using. So if you start doing this kind of stuff and finding these kind of things for yourself, just pop them in a Trello board, save them for later. I'm actually going to chat about the call to action before we go to Q&A. So here's my little bit of CTA for you guys. Pick one tool that we talked about, or if you're ambitious, pick one from each category, or pick 2 apps that pair very nicely together. And then commit to 8 weeks. It takes 8 weeks to make a habit. You can make a habit with a tool. It takes 8 weeks to make a habit. Sometimes it takes people longer.
I heard 21 days.
Sometimes it takes people less. 8 weeks. It takes Jackson less time.
No, I didn't say I was 21.
Here's the thing. It's 8 weeks. If you're committed for 8 weeks, you're going to commit for longer. It's 2 months. If you've been working with it for 2 months, you will know whether or not you like it, or if you don't like it, and if it works for you. So commit to 8 weeks. Choose one. If it still works for you, great. If it doesn't, come back to me and complain. That's fine. I won't hold any grudges. But yeah. So that's about it for me.
Yes, we're doing mobile.
And
If you have a Microsoft account, I believe you can get the desktop free.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
That's
about
what
that.
it showed for me. So
For what?
Okay,
for Pocket Cast,
you guys are welcome to leave. If you have questions, you can hang around and I will answer questions. Tyler.
So one thing I would caution against, because I know you had the saving on the cloud on a couple of the apps,
Uh-huh.
unless you know how robust